Masse releases a new cinematic trailer for Tera's Secrets and Shadows update. Trove kicks off its head start and prepares to launch the Mantle of Power expansion. Warframe drops all the teasers at PAX East, and it looks like Bless has found a publisher and is finally headed to the West. What's happening, guys? James Malone here with MMOHuts.com with a quick weekly recap for MMO news and announcements of the week ending April 25th, 2016. And starting out the news this week is an announcement from Perfect World Entertainment for the new expansion for Swordsman Online known as Lone Wanderer. The new update marks the debut of the new Falconer class, a ton of new gameplay updates, including a new weapons system, and an increase in the game's level cap to 99. As the story goes, the Infinity School has been completely destroyed for whatever reason, but from its ashes rises a new faction called the Falconers. Now, the Falconer class is accompanied by an eagle, actually, not exactly a falcon, but close, who never leaves its master's side and, as you can probably guess, attacks any oncoming enemies, which is kind of cool. Besides adding a new faction to the game, the expansion introduces glass weapons, which don't sound very powerful, but they are in fact very powerful. It's an entirely new weapons system that can be forged by smelting sun and moon shard weapons together. With the new level cap, we see new quests and maps, ways to improve your characters, and a new free-for-all PvP area. According to the official post from Arc Games, this is just a sneak peek, so there could be a lot more. But with that said, we also don't have a release date just yet. Also from PWE, Perfect World International launched its Elysium expansion this past week, and it's actually the game's 12th expansion to date. And with it comes the new homestead system, an in-game dungeon called Uncharted Paradise, plus major upgrades to weapons, gear, fashion, and more, including the game's official launch on Steam. Finally. So as of now, players level 90 and above can build and customize their very own home or mansion with hundreds of different options to design and furnish them with. Uncharted Paradise, the new 10-player late-game challenge dungeon, gets worthy players really nice rewards. Elysium raises the power level to over 9,000 with the release of the new level 17 Dragon Breath weapons. Sounds pretty epic. If the new expansion is something you're looking forward to, definitely want to check out the giveaway section at MMOHuts.com for a Dream Chaser pack, which includes a permanent mount and plenty more goodies. Last week I mentioned Tera's upcoming Secrets and Shadows update introducing the Ninja class for the Elen, and this past week we see a new cinematic trailer as the second reveal for the update, first being the Ninja class obviously, and the next reveal being the new dungeons. That's being revealed tomorrow, in fact, on April 26th, and the final reveal is coming next Tuesday, May 3rd, revealing the flying mounts that they promised. So apparently, Dacurion is back in this update, stronger than ever, crazier than ever, and of course, completely dangerous. Check out the new trailer along with all the reveals for the update so far from the link posted in the description below. Next up, and a fairly big surprise early last week, news got out that Korean developer NeoWiz has signed a deal to bring the fantasy MMORPG Bless to the West. Now that is awesome. We got Blade and Soul, Black Desert, and now we're getting Bless. This year might not turn out half bad. It kind of already has. So who's going to publish it in the West for NeoWiz? Well, Aeria Games, of course. You probably weren't expecting to hear that, but hey, it's also not a bad thing. I can imagine Aeria is stoked about publishing a game that's at least close to Blade and Soul Black Desert level. Most of you probably already know about the game. It's built on the Unreal Engine 3 and has some pretty tasty visuals depicting a huge and seamless fantasy world. Plus, the score has been composed by Hans Zimmer, the same composer who does some really epic scores for movies like, well, pretty much all the badass ones, like The Dark Knight, Inception, and Interstellar being a few of them. Hopefully it won't take long to localize the game, but you can bet we'll have all the news as soon as it becomes available. Even more content releases in the news this week. Webzen announced that its first new content release for ASTA is now live. This release includes a new Team Arena map, which provides players with even more challenges. The new map is called Aura Fortress Underground Arena, offering 5v5 team battles identical to that of the Arena of Constellations, which is already in the game, except with a different interior that will definitely require players to come up with new strategies. Along with this update, 2 new raid dungeons will be available to play in a new difficulty mode, an extra hard difficulty mode if you will, which is permitted once a day for free, with additional entries available for purchase using soul stones. Check out the site post at MMOHuts.com for even more details. Otherwise, it's already live in-game, which is still an open beta by the way. It's not the biggest update, but an update nonetheless. Speaking of going live this past week, Trove's Mantle of Power expansion has kicked off early access last week and lasts until tomorrow, April 26th, when it goes public and free for all players. The new expansion delivers on the biggest request from existing Trove players, greater depth of play, particularly in terms of character progression, with new levels, the level cap is now 30, new abilities gained from the new gyms, and plenty more. The expansion, there are now 4 new sprawling realms to explore, from water and lava worlds to sky worlds. Oh, and you can't forget the shadow world, a new extra dangerous realm with crazy awesome rewards. They've also added leaderboards that lets players see how they stack up against other players in a wide range of categories like quests completed, enemies killed, or even blocks created or destroyed. They've even upgraded the game engine to better create the new realms. It's pretty legit. This is a beefy expansion, lots to explore, and unless you're already in game because you picked up a head start pack, you can check it out yourself starting on the 26th. Next up, Nexon America announced the start of the second closed beta for Riders of Icarus, like I mentioned at the end of last week's recap, and that is going on currently through this Thursday, the 28th. If you were at PAX East this past week, they were giving away keys for this closed beta, and so did we. We actually had some giveaways, but the keys went really fast, so they're gone now. Sorry. In case you didn't know, Riders of Icarus lets players rule the skies as a legendary rider, able to gain special combat abilities and train, collect, and battle on top of all kinds of crazy mounts, from boars and spiders to birds and freaking dragons. Honestly, this is how Dragomon Hunter should be. This is going to be one of several closed beta tests before the open beta, so hopefully we'll have more keys to give you guys next time around. But in the meantime, keep a lookout for my exclusive first look coming to you guys this week. Well, it turns out everyone likes to fly for fun, or at least most people do. Webzen confirmed that the latest expansion for the manga MMORPG Flyff will be released on European and American servers later in 2016. Yeah, it's been a while, but the beginning of 2016, the Korean and Japanese versions surprised its players with a brand new action-packed expansion, and now that's being prepared for the West. Not much has been revealed in terms of what to expect in the Turning Point Part 1 expansion, but it might not be too hard to look into what was released for the Korean and Japanese versions. But Webzen is also planning further development and improvements to the game going forward, so that's also good news. Interesting to see what comes out of this. Regardless, definitely cool news for Flyff fans. It also turns out they've had a little hiccup launching Tree of Savior free-to-play. This past week, IMC Games announced 2 major changes after some economy concerns in the early access period of Tree of Savior. Due to differences in regional pricing, some players were able to purchase the Founders Pack at a lower price and then sell the earned TP to obtain silver, giving them an unfair advantage over non-discounted regions like North America. What's up with everyone trying to exploit Tree of Savior lately? Jeez.
Leave
Tree of Savior
alone!
The developers have adjusted the pricing on Steam so that way it's fair and even for all players, and to deal with the sudden price increase in some regions, IMC Games will open up a new South American server. The differential pricing will be applied to the South American and Southeast Asian servers after the game transitions to free-to-play, and will block players from being able to trade tokens with North American and European servers to ensure fairness. Because of all these changes, the game's free-to-play transition has been pushed back, and fortunately there is no date that has been given, but IMC Games stated that they expect the transition to happen sometime early to mid-May, if all goes to plan. Next up, Paladin changes its primary game mode quite a lot in patch 22. Now the Capture and Siege game mode has been switched over to a round-based game mode where either team can score by capturing a point as well as escorting their captured payload over to the enemy base. No more gates, no more vaults. First team to 4 objective points wins. They've also changed the card system slightly. Now you can swap your deck in-game to better face opponents that you're up against, and you also have burn cards that act as additional stat-boosting helper cards that can be purchased with currency built up during the match, which is really cool, actually. These are the new changes that we had to play on the YouTuber challenge hosted by High Res that happened today, which was really fun, by the way. Check out the video on demand from the link in the description below, or look forward to my highlights video coming out later this week. Coming in this week's patch 23, we've got a new champion, Drogoz the Greedy, a rocket launcher wielding dragon who can stack damage with other abilities and jump and fly for days, even further than Buck, which is already broken in my opinion. I've got to admit though, Paladins is turning out to be a pretty fun game, and I have a feeling those of you still wanting to play won't really need a beta key much longer. Open beta should be around the corner. Oddly enough, there hasn't been a whole lot of news just yet from PAX East this past week. I suppose the PR reps have embargoes on a lot of stuff that was revealed, so I'd expect to see some more stuff this week, but that wasn't quite the case for Warframe. Here we see the next Warframe coming into the game, which is a fairy-themed Warframe with razor blade winged butterflies. How sweet is that? She's even capable of shrinking into a Tinkerbell-sized fairy to attack enemies with flight mechanics based on the Arcwing. It's really cool. We also get to see the new badass trailer for Vauban Prime that you see playing here. Plus, there's a new game mode that is sort of kind of a competitive sport, and a whole lot more. Be sure to check out the Warframe PAX East 2016 highlights video at the site posted at MMOHuts.com for all the teasers and reveals. Speaking of teasers, FreeJam is preparing to release the biggest expansion to date in Robocraft, known as Epic Loot. They started out teasing everyone with a soundbite, having people guess at what could be coming, and now they've revealed economy changes and a huge weapon rework that regards flattening the tiers for lasers, plasma launchers, rail cannons, nano healers, and Tesla blades. So they are removing the old vertical tech tree and robot ranking systems altogether and replacing them with a freer and more contemporary, gotta collect them all sort of loot-based progression system, which should provide a fairer and at the same time more diverse experience for players. They've got a new dev diary video you see playing here that explains the flattening in detail, but keep in mind this is just one small aspect to a supposedly massive update launching this week on the 28th. In other news, Phase 2 of Gigantic's closed beta is coming to an end today, in fact. So this past weekend was the final test for this phase of the beta. No more 24/7 tests after this. Well, for now anyway. The servers are being taken offline to fine-tune the game for what we're guessing is open beta, although that wasn't directly stated. Magicka made sure that testing this past weekend went out with a bang, stress testing the servers, opening up all the heroes to players in order to get them involved. Kind of a cool way to do the event. Keep an eye out at MMOHuts.com for news about what's next for Gigantic. And finally, for a last bit of news, on a slightly sad note, Paradox announced that Magicka Wizard Wars will be shutting down in 3 months. According to the official announcement, they've decided to cease development on the game because they've reached the point where they can't economically justify to continue running the costly server infrastructure. They've got a small but passionate player base. It's not enough to make enough money to stay afloat. For those who enjoyed the crazy hectic PvP style, like I said, the game will still be alive for 3 more months, so play some matches for old time's sake while you get the chance. The cash shop items have been removed or converted to in-game crown costs, and the team may also introduce some old content already developed as a reward for its last players. Anyway guys, that's about it for all the major MMO news and announcements for this week. Like always, if you're looking for more information regarding the news featured in the recap, check the links in the description below or head over to MMOHuts.com for plenty more up-to-the-hour gaming news. Feel free to discuss the news in the comments below and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.